Hey there, I'm over here on this side and you're up there. This is going to be about thread lock, and there's lots of brands out there. I don't know that any of them, one is better than the other, but I use the Permatex thread lock because I can get it at Home Depot and Lowe's, which is usually a little cheaper. So these are the things I'm going to do, are used to put the thread lock throughout the airplane. And so I've got the 1.5 inch L, 1.5 inch ball in case I need it. These are for the lock nuts on the wheels. The 3/32 is for the quick connects inside the cabin. This is because I still haven't screwed on the cowl. I'm going to do that as a part of the lock it all down. The spinner, this would be to take off the nut, the prop nut, and this would be to take off the spinner. But what I'm going to do is I haven't decided whether the wooden prop or the APC prop is better, so I'm just going to tighten it down good, which I've already done. Both the prop nut and the spinner, so I double checked those just a minute ago. And after the maiden flight and after I see how well the wooden one flies, I may just keep it as is, or I may switch it out for the APC plastic prop. So that will be to be determined. So with that said, let me get started. Be right back. Okay, I'm going to start with one of the wings and the aileron. If you'll recall that the servo for the wing has a Z-bend in it there, as you see. All I'm going to actually do here is grab my little there we go, this screwdriver, and make sure that there we go, servo arm is good and tight. But no Loctite on it, mostly because most of the time what you're screwing into is plastic. Although this is metal and the screw is metal, I still don't want to put Loctite there, just because it's a servo. So that's tight. The little lock nut here behind the, oops, let me move back, sorry. So the little nut behind the clevis needs to be locked down, and what I'm going to do is I'll put a little paper towel under it. Sorry, I had to find my Loctite. There we go. What I'm going to do is roll the that locking nut back a little, drop a little blue Loctite on it, and then dab a little off. You don't need that much on there. One drop is way too much. I'm going to just screw this back down, finger tight, and leave it there, and that'll work for it. The clevis isn't going to move because it's locked down. So while we're at it, we're trying to lock everything down. I'm going to slide the blue fuel tubing up, and remembering this doesn't go very far, you can see that fuel tubing won't ever get in the way of anything, and that just sort of locks the here we go, yeah. So the blue fuel tubing, just make sure that clevis doesn't come off. So that wing is locked down. There's another wing, a rudder, and an elevator that I'm going to say is identical. If I just pointed this at you, probably couldn't tell which one it was. So I'm not going to do those on camera, but I'm going to do them next. Okay, looking in the cabin, well, before I say that, I did the other wing, I did the rudder and the elevator, locked it all down, moved the little fuel tube forward, locked the nut. So inside the cabin here, I've got the radio already on, so I'm going to turn on the airplane by pulling out the nice pretty switch over here. Let me get the switch out here. Okay. Oh, you can't see it. Wait a minute, where's the switch? There it is. And the switch is out. And you can see that the switch is out because the lights are on. And so, because sometimes when you turn the switch on, the servos jump a little. The throttle is idle, and I'm not going to change the throttle, but I'm going to lock this throttle down a little bit by putting on this little clamp. So that little thing won't move, and if it does, I'll be able to tell. So with that in place, I'm going to because you don't want, I mean, everything's set on the motor. I don't want to have to readjust it, so that clamp is just sort of some insurance that says, okay, nothing's going to move. So what I'm going to do now is undo the little 3/32 bolt, and I did drop it, didn't I? Darn it. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back, and this little 3/32 has some magnetism in it, but obviously just not strong enough. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, I don't want to be dripping it over the throttle arm, because it just doesn't sound like a good idea. So what I'm going to do is not drip it over the receiver either. I'm going to apply a little bit on the screw itself, and I'll screw the top back on and show it to you again. So there's a little bit of blue on there. I'm going to just dab a small amount off, so you can still see there's a little bit of blue on there, and that's all you need. A little blue will do you. So with a little bit of blue on there, and it's hopefully between the magnet and the friction of the thing, I won't drop it. Hey, it worked. Alright. Now I'm going to reach down there with my forceps and sort of hold the push rod as I tighten it. Okay, that's good and tight. One more try. Okay, nice and tight. I don't think that's going anywhere. And I'll take this off. I'll stop a second to move all the radio equipment, and we'll do the other servos. Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to undo that screw there. This one right here, and that is the screw to the rudder. And before I undo that, I'm going to lock the rudder down with this. You remember, I'll remember this. It's my handy little jig. I don't want that rudder to move and mess up all we got. So the rudder is neutral, and now we can unscrew that. And I'm going to do a little extra safety precaution here and use my tweezers so I don't drop that little screw. And so there's the little screw. There's a little blue Loctite. Gonna put a little dab of blue Loctite on that screw. Little dab will do you. It's like Brill cream. Y'all probably don't remember Brill cream a little devil, do you? Well, I'm old enough for that. I won't admit to ever using Brill cream though. Alright. And without the tweezers, it goes right back in. Now, that's not tight because I'm going to grab the other end with the forceps, probably where you can't see it. And I'm going to lock that one down. Okay, so 2 out of 3 done. Be back in a second. Okay, for the 3 out of 3, I'm going to use my tweezers and undo this one, but I shall, in this case, back in a minute. No, never mind, there it is. I am going to lock this one down with a little pincher here. Hopefully that's, yep, that's going to be alright. It's going to be in the way of grabbing my tweezers, huh? So, and there's no way to lock down the nose wheel other than keep that push rod from moving. And when you know it, I did drop it even with the tweezers. I'll be back. Okay, so blue Loctite on the third and final quick connect. And that's got a little blue on it. I'll do a little dab of that, and alright, I'm just gonna throw caution to the wind and risk it and see if it falls off. Ah, how about that? Love it when a plan comes together. Oh heck, now I remember what was wrong with this one. Alright, back in a minute. Okay, and I'm back. And you might recall from my previous video that when I was using my favorite 3/32 nut driver, which is the big red one, the red one was getting in the way of the side of the aircraft when I was screwing that one in, and I completely forgot. So we're going to try this again and make sure it doesn't fall off this time. Okay. And now with the screw vertical, it should go in. Okay, there's always a problem. I'll be back. Okay, y'all heard of Murphy, right? Murphy's Law. Anything can happen will. Well, Murphy was an optimist. Anything that can happen will happen worse than you ever thought. So the nut fell and bounced underneath the servo tray. So I had to get out my trusty little screwdriver with a magnet on it, and I got it. So I'm going to put some more blue Loctite on it because it's dried out by now, and I'll be back. Okay, the good news is after all, oh darn. Okay, so I've got the tweezers holding it, and it's going to go put right in. So I put I put the tweezers down and rested and put this on it. Now the Allen wrench will start turning as I turn the so I take the tweezers away, and let's see if it'll go in. And there it goes. And no, it's not. Alright. Trust me, I'm going to get this in. So I said to myself, quick, turn the camera on so I can see, you can see the end of this. What I did was I went and got a brand new screw. For some reason that screw, when it hit the floor or something, it was damaged and it wouldn't go in. And so now this brand new screw is going in nice and tight. And I'm going to use my forceps instead of my fingers. Maybe I can use my finger. No, I'll use the forceps. Okay, so it's down but not hard tight. I'm going to use the forceps here to hold the end of the push rod and tighten. Okay, so that's not going to come off. Afraid the Allen wrench wasn't going to come off. Like I said, Murphy was an optimist. And I'm going to inspect the nose wheel. Nose wheel is still straight as an arrow. And so I'm going to test the rudder and nose wheel steering. That looks good. I'm going to test the throttle. That was the other one we did. Yep, you look fine. You're not going anywhere. Okay, and I think we're good. Turn the airplane off, turn the receiver off, and at least that portion is now locked down. Okay, I'm back. I'm over here. I'm going to be over here. The camera's going to be over there because the first time I tried this, the camera was in the way. I couldn't see what the heck I was doing. So you won't get a real good close-up, but you can watch and see what I'm doing. So I'm going to loosen the outside collar enough so it'll move. Okay. And then, actually I'm going to go ahead and take it off. Okay. This wheel slides on and off real simply. So now I'm going to loosen the inside collar just enough to turn it, not take the locking screw out, dab a bit of glue on it, move it around a little bit so it gets on all the threads. Okay, and screw that one back in place. This one is not as important as the other one. So now that that's on, put the wheel back on, and I want it to be just like that. So with the locking collar in my hand, I'm going to unscrew the locking nut itself, locking screw I guess, and dab a little glue on it. And then put it back. Dab a little off. And then put this on. Put that on. And I could use a piece of paper, but I'm not gonna. I can see it better than, and feel it better than using a piece of paper that might get in the way. That could be be a little tighter. Says Murphy. Too tight. Okay, perfect. Okay, lay it down. So that one's in good shape. Alright, so that's good. 2 down, 4 more to go, and I'm not going to bother taping them. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I think the last set of screws to do are the 2 screws for the muffler. So I'm going to unscrew this and unscrew this, but not take them out. But I'm going to pull the muffler back enough to drop some blue Loctite in. Okay. Grab me a blue Loctite and a little bit of I tell you what, I'm gonna belay that order. I'm gonna go ahead and take the thing all the way off. Okay, with the muffler off, I'm just going to put a little dab, and I'm not going to let it drop. I'm going to put a little paper towel underneath. So I'm going to put a little drop on the end, just the very tippy end of each of the You'd be surprised how good Loctite is. As I said before, a little dab will do you. Because I'm doing this because I don't want the Loctite to become a seal between the 2 metal surfaces of the muffler and the engine. So what I'm going to do is grab my flashlight, inspect, and make sure I don't see any blue. Okay, no blue showing, so it all stayed inside. So I'm going to tighten this down. Now, you rarely take the muffler off, okay? You're only going to take the muffler off if you got to work on the tubes of the engine or whatever. So this muffler I anticipate to be on there for years to come. Okay, that's tight. And that's tight. Okay, good to go. Give you a summary in a minute. Okay, that's it for locking it down. I learned a little bit more about Murphy and his laws of Everything's always going to go wrong, and it's going to go wrong in the worst possible way. But that's okay. It was fun. And that's the whole point of this, is to make sure you have fun while you're doing this, even when it doesn't go the way you planned. So the airplane is basically ready to go fly. The next set of videos are going to be about some of the other things you got to do before you go flying. And I hope you enjoy them. So I'll see you on the next video.